guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. So just the other day I went for a tattoo appointment, but it wasn't like a typical tattoo appointment. It was for a touch-up on a pre-existing tattoo. So the tattoo that I had touched up was my wolf tattoo, which I had started back in like March of this year. It's on my left thigh. I absolutely love it. It's gorgeous, but I kind of had a little bit of a mishap with it. That mishap was when I went to New York City with my boyfriend back at like the end of March. It was still freaking cold outside and I decided to wear stockings because it was cold and I wasn't gonna go out with bare legs. But dumb me didn't take into account that my tattoo was less than 2 weeks old and was still healing. My stockings got stuck to my tattoo. So like if you've ever gotten a tattoo before, you know there's like an oozing phase during the healing process. Well, the stockings got stuck to it. I had to take like a wet washcloth and dampen the area so that I could lift the stockings away from the tattoo. Well, what that ended up doing is lifting some of the ink. So I needed it to be touched up. So for today's video, I'm going to be discussing just tattoo touch-ups and like what to expect from them and when you should do them and cost of them, because it's not like going to a standard tattoo appointment. You know, this is typically for something that's pre-existing, that has a little few spots here and there that you just feel like needs some help, or it's faded over time and you just want it to come back to life a little bit. So it's not a typical tattoo appointment. There are a lot of variables that you need to take into account. So touch-ups are typically needed when the tattoo itself didn't heal correctly, or it's just old and, you know, time has been rough on it. This doesn't mean that the artist did anything wrong or like you necessarily did anything wrong. It really depends on where on the body it was. Even time of year can contribute to how a tattoo heals, as well as other elements can lead to a tattoo not healing like it should. Like I said, you know, with my wolf, yeah, it was my F up. That was all my fault. That being said, the area was also a difficult place for me for tattoos to heal, but that doesn't mean like my artist did anything wrong or that I did anything wrong in the aftercare portion. I just was dumb and wore something I probably shouldn't have so early on into the healing stage. Something to keep in mind, not all tattoos are going to need a touch-up. It's basically up to you, the person with the tattoo, whether or not you think it needs a touch-up. If you're happy with how it looks, that's all that matters. You know, if you don't think it needs to be touched up, then don't waste your time, don't waste the artist's time, don't waste your money, don't waste the artist's resources to get something redone if you don't think it needs to be redone. So just because a tattoo's older or it's even, you know, not as vibrant as it was when you first got it, if you are still happy with it, don't feel like you have to get it touched up at least right then. So touch-ups take kind of a different direction than getting a brand new piece. Typically touch-ups take less time, less attention. The artist during these appointments is only focusing on areas that need that special attention. For me, my wolf really needed attention around the center part of his face because that's where the stockings got stuck and lifted some of the ink. So he was kind of missing some ink from the center part of his face. There was also patches on the roses around him that needed a little extra vibrancy to them. So those were the only areas that my artist focused on, whereas when she did the piece before, she was doing the entire thing from scratch. It was brand new. Nothing had ever been done there. So it takes a lot more time to get a brand new piece than it does to say get a touch-up. These sessions are pretty fast compared to getting a brand new piece. I'd say it was less than 30 minutes for my artist to do touch-ups. I think it was more like 15 minutes. Like my appointment was at 6. She took me back early at 5:45, got all the colors situated, looked at my tattoo to see what areas needed to be touched up. And I mean, it was like 15 minutes. It hardly took any time for her to get those areas done. So if you're thinking you need a touch-up on a tattoo, the first thing you should do is make sure that it is completely healed before you go in for a touch-up. If you just got a piece and you're already thinking, there's an area on this that I think is gonna need to be touched up, wait until it's completely healed before you even consider that, because it could heal completely differently. Like if you go in right away and get a touch-up, you may find that there's another spot on that tattoo that needs to be touched up later on. Might as well just do it all in one fell swoop. You might be able to see those imperfections, you know, almost immediately after you get a tattoo done. But again, let your body have time to heal, to process, to let those other imperfections that might be there come on out. Because again, you're spending way more time on it than you need to, as well as resources and money. So when it comes to costs, a lot of people have questions about how much something costs. And it really depends on what your artist wants to do for a touch-up. So some artists may not charge anything extra for a touch-up. That may be like part of the deal, that if you come back within 6 months or within a year to get a touch-up, they'll do it for free. If you go to a completely different artist than the one who did the original piece, then yeah, they're probably gonna charge you. My artist was like hella nice, and she was like, oh yeah, it's no extra cost, even though it was my F up. Like, I couldn't believe that. She was sweet enough not to charge me anything. I was fully prepared to pay. And she's like, no, it doesn't cost anything, even though it was my fault. My artist is just that amazing. That being said, even if there is no extra cost for a touch-up, make sure you tip your artist. They're still spending their time and their resources on you, and they're not even charging you to do it. So whether or not they charge you, make sure you tip your artist 20% minimum of whatever it would have been. So I was already in the process of being like, all right, this will probably take less than an hour, but they'll charge an hour's worth. I was anticipating $150. My artist didn't charge me at all, but I still gave her 20% because she spent the time and resources on me to fix something that I did. Don't skimp on tipping your tattoo artist. If you can't afford a tip, don't get a tattoo. Same with going out to eat. If you can't afford a tip, don't go out to eat. But that's a whole other rant. So when it comes to a tattoo, touch-up, and aftercare for it, go through the same process that you would as if it was a brand new piece. You know, don't think just because it's only little parts of an original tattoo that are getting touched up that you don't have to still do that. No, you still do. I'll probably still care for it as if the entire thing got touched up. I'll wash it all completely. I'll moisturize all of it completely, not just those little areas, because that just doesn't make sense. Something to keep in mind though is that touch-ups may have a more difficult time healing than your original piece. Now this is because the artist, when they go in for a touch-up, is putting color on top of pre-existing color. Whether or not you can see it or whether or not it's faded, there's still color there. So it's gonna be more difficult for the new color to take because there's old color still there. Does that make sense? So the blending of those two colors might end up being a little bit difficult for it to take completely, but just go about your aftercare like normal and it should be fine. So one method that I'm currently using, it's because my artist suggested it, because touch-ups are a little bit more tricky, is Tegaderm. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Tegaderm. So what is Tegaderm? I'll just touch on that briefly. It is a transparent medical dressing. It's breathable and it's comfortable and it adheres to the skin, and it almost is like a second skin. You can see it, but it's not in your face like a typical bandages after you get a tattoo. So for something like this, if your artist recommends it, you just keep it on for several days, like 3 to 4 days. You'll notice it start to peel. At that time, you'll get in the shower and let it kind of get soft so that you can peel it up, but it kind of speeds along the healing process and helps it a little bit more. I'm excited to see what it does for me. I've never used it before on a big piece like this. For the first like 3 days after it, I don't clean it or do aftercare with it like normal. Like I won't wash it several times a day. I won't moisturize it several times a day. It's just here with the Tegaderm. I'll show you what it looks like. Let me stand up and see if I can show you all. As you can see, here is the tattoo in question. This is the area that got the touch-up, as well as a few spots on the roses. But as you can see, it's shiny. That's because of the Tegaderm. So like it goes down to here. You can see it here. So you just keep that on for a few days, and then after like 3 or 4 days, you take it off, and then you go about aftercare like normal. But it kind of helps the process along. My artist said that it helps a lot with touch-ups since they are a little bit more difficult to heal. But if your artist doesn't recommend it, then just go about aftercare like normal. So these are just some things that I found with touch-ups. Again, this is my first time getting a tattoo touched up. I do have another one that I want to get touched up. My squirrel on my arm here had some ink lift. No one's fault. It wasn't my artist's fault. It wasn't my fault. It was just this area was a little bit more difficult for my body to heal. Again, everyone's body's different. You know, my calves are really easy to heal. That may be more difficult for someone else. It just depends on your body. If you have any questions about tattoo touch-ups, leave them in the comments below. If you have any recommendations for tattoo touch-ups, also leave them in the comments below. I'm sure everyone would like to hear about them. Again, this is my first touch-up, so I'm excited to see the final product, because I mean, my wolf has felt incomplete between now and, you know, and March. And so I'm really excited that he's finally complete, finally full, you know, after I completely messed him up. So I'm excited for him to be done. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Go on down there and hit that subscribe button wherever it may be, because I don't know. Even though I do, this is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys.